Hello everyone, welcome to CESI, Korea Evangelism Studies Institute. My name is Peter Kim. I'm not in Moscow or in the States, but in Korea, a little bit southern part. My hometown is Kunsan. If you are airman, you are probably familiar with Kunsan Air Base. I was also airman. So maybe 2006, when I was in the Evangelism seminary, I met a couple of airmen who worked at Korean Air Base, especially Kunsan Air Base. So it's quite interesting because you met unknown person, but who knows your hometown. It's a very tiny city in the Korean peninsula, southwestern part. We have lots of snow, but I'm in the city of Sejong. Sejong means the great king Sejong in Joseon dynasty. Today I'm going to share being with the master with you. Especially this class is about evangelization studies. I finished my PhD in 2014, but now it's 2022, 23 already. Happy New Year. Last week we had Lunar New Year or Chinese New Year. Also, I heard some tragic story about LA, so I'm sorry for your loss or any trouble. I hope you get well and your community also can be healed by the grace of God. The class name is Being with the Master, but specifically the name is the theological and historical and practical aspects of Robert Coleman's association principle for discipleship strategies today. Interestingly, when I started writing my dissertation, Robert Coleman moved into Wilmore, Kentucky from Boston. It was quite lucky for me. I don't know. Maybe probably unlucky to Robert Coleman because I always was bothering him to get insight from him. So I visited him several times, but kindly he also invited me to talk about my topic. 1963, Robert Coleman wrote his book, The Master Plan of Evangelism. As I remember, the real original title was not The Master of Evangelism, but as I understand, the Baker Company, Baker Academic House, at the time changed the title to the Master Plan of Evangelism. So when you look at the book, you can find the second principle, association. Well, when you interpret association, probably you can have many different interpretations and meanings. But in this context, on my dissertation, I interpret association as being with the master. So that's why I call it being with the master class. Association principle have been discussing for a long time, I think for a century. 1963, Robert Coleman reorganize the principle of evangelism from several books and Bible. So he proposed 8 principles. So from 8 principles, I chose the second one, association, because I was always interested in nominal Christians, because when I started my coursework as a PhD student from 2009, I always focused on nominal Christian, because even though the Korean church had lots of Christians, but the Christians can be nominal Christians. So even though we had lots of Christians, our society from the Korean world to now still unlike a Christian society, because we had around 10 million Christians. That means around 25% of the population is Christian, but economy and politics, society and education, all system can be a little bit different from the ideal Christian society. When I talk about ideal Christian society, you can be also confused. Is it really possible? Plato or any other prominent philosophers try to get an ideal society like a utopia, but they failed. Also, many Christians believe ideal society can be done in the name of Christ, but still without Christ we cannot, the Christians cannot make ourselves the kind of ideal society. So that's why we have been waiting for the eschatological point. So also we are waiting for the second coming of the King. So the problem is we are doing evangelism for many reasons. First of all, numerical growth. Numerical growth is very kind of temptation. If we are hired by a new church as a senior pastor, numerical growth is key. Whenever I look at the job titles or job openings, many churches write very fancy job descriptions: spiritual reading, directing, but the board members want numerical growth. Without numerical growth, your position cannot be stable. Also, your future will be questioned by board members and congregations. Also, when I look at the job openings at the seminary or university, religious studies department, the main goal or instinct goal is numerical growth. That's why 1980s, maybe 1970s to 1990s, many pastors or professors were passionate for a numerical growth. So, for example, Donald McGovern or any other George Hunter, Lily Schaller, Peter Wagner, they kept asking why this church grows. The other way is why this church not growing. So as you know, the Peter Wagner suggests the three elements to grow church. First is good pastor and good people and good parking lot. Yes, I visited many good churches in the States, especially in Kentucky. Also, I went to the Willow Creek Church and also a Perimeter Church in Atlanta, Georgia. They are also mega churches, so they have a good driving way system, so then you don't get wet when you get out of the car, especially your kids don't have to get wet in the rainy day. Also, drive-through systems also very interesting. So this kind of a system is quite important for North Americans, and also pastors is very indigenous, because when I say indigenous means unlike a conservative Presbyterian church or Methodist church, because they don't tie these kind of things, or they don't have a suit. So one day a young man gave me a joke: enjoy your suit. That kind of comment is postmodernical speech, I think, because I will stand against your authority. Your authority cannot take over my being or my existence or my decisions. So it's the kind of a postmodern effect. So the problem is the Robert Coleman, for example, he focused on why Jesus focused on the 12. But my question is why Jesus was with them. So being with the 12 is my question. Why? Because if you focused on some doctrine, you don't have to stay with your disciples. When I call disciple here is just student, so you don't have to pour out your love upon them, or your blood, your tear, your energy, your money, your time. You can just throw out your lectures, then you can just left. Then the students, everything is up to students, because they can interpret your teaching, or they can apply your teaching to their lives. So you don't have to take any responsibility for your teachings. But Jesus Christ did not leave them, but still he did not hold them. So they were free to go and come. But still, Jesus Christ poured out his whole 3 years upon the 12. But one of them betrayed him. That's tragedy. Also, you can be reminded of Peter's denial 3 times. So that's embarrassing situation. So still, if you are interested in this class, being with the master, you can join me every single class. This class has three big parts. First, theological aspect of being with the Master. Second, historical aspect of being with the Master. Third, the practical aspect of being with the Master. First, theological being with the Master is to deal with what's the meaning being with the God, being with Jesus Christ, Father, Holy Spirit, and Jesus. So also I'm going to deal with some Judaic tradition or Jewish tradition or Hellenism situation. So especially teacher and students, what does it mean by mathetes in Greek? Also in Aramaic, what does it mean shualia? So then in the second part, historical aspect of being with the Master is about Celtic Church. So in the 4th century, what makes the Celtic Church difference? Also, in comparing to the Roman Church. Also, I'm going to discuss Wesley tradition because he used class leader system to be with his followers. So this system finally established Methodist Church today. Also, I'm going to discuss a practical aspect of being with the Master. I was really excited to deal with this being with the Master in practical aspect because I employed some group dynamic theories and self-psychology theories, also sociological studies theory, sociological studies aspect also. So I try to look at being with the Master with various lens of academics. So I draw some aspect to focus on being with the Master. Then I try to provide different aspects to see how being with the Master is important for our evangelism practice. At the last part, I interviewed a very key person, 5 key persons who were disciples of Robert Coleman. One day I asked Robert Coleman, who is your best disciples? Because you have been discipling for approximately 50 years. Then Robert Coleman confidently says, my son. Well, the question was big, but the answer is very simple, but quite most important answer I have ever heard. Because even though you focus on your ministry, church, evangelism, or theological studies, it's quite hard to disciple your child. Because you have to demonstrate yourself before God and your child. But as you know, we hardly success that part. But Robert Coleman, surely his best disciple is his son. His son, I have a little information because I heard just from Robert Coleman his son had 6 children. He was doing homeschooling for 6 children. So I'm also homeschooling for 4 kids. Because when you look at this kind of family line, without your good demonstration before God, your kids cannot be a good follower of Jesus Christ, because your kids knows everything about you. So actually, Robert Coleman discipled his son, and his son is discipling Coleman's grandchildren. So that's good sequence, I think. So next video clip, I will discuss a theological aspect. For your convenience, I'm going to cut maybe 15 minutes or 20 minutes or 30 minutes, not hour long. You're probably tired. So see you next clip. Bye bye.